Hey guys, it's Fi here. I want to take the time to do a more in-depth rundown on cities and towns than I got to get into in my short intro video that I just posted a little bit ago. I want to get this video out before I hit the gym and start streaming for the day. So, I want to talk about the changes to placement priorities and how it might really shift the meta for settlement management. And then how you make the decision on is this a good spot to put down a settler. So, in your typical game of Civ 6, when you're thinking about where to put down your settlers, you had to think about how the city is going to grow for itself, how it's going to build things for itself, and how are you going to get your adjacency bonuses for mountains for your science and religious districts. In Civ 7, that all changes. You need to think about the overall role of the settlement that you're about to put down when you are going to claim your land. You need to think about how it will initially grow, which is important, and what the end goal is for that town, and if one day it's going to evolve into a city. As part of that calculation, you also need to think about how ageless buildings interact with your new settlement, and which ones you want to pay to build, keeping in mind that construction in towns is done with gold. Only cities actually use production to build things. Now, in this playthrough, you can see I've got 3 towns and 3 cities. So I want to talk about my towns first, and what I was going through whenever I was putting them down, and then what they're doing now at the end of the Antiquity era. So, scroll up here to Chalkis. My first town that I put down, fishing. So, you really want to focus in on your towns on one type of yield from one type of tile. For Chalkis, I've initially focused on fishing boats to grow. Didn't build any farms, just fishing boats. And then obviously food. And then I claimed special resources as well as along the way. Those are still definitely worth it. So the reason why I'm going on and on about these ageless buildings is that they cost gold and population to put down. So if I had mixed Chalkis, half farms, half fishing boats, I would get the same food at the end of the day. But it would cost me more gold and more population to accomplish that. And really, on higher difficulties, you're just trying to save population and be as effective as possible. I realized based off displacement with this navigable river and coast that I could get a lot of food out of fishing boats. So that was my idea for this. Chalkis was initially, obviously, a growing town. 50% buff to growth, but it wasn't pushing anything out yet. Once I got to about the size that it is now, I realized it was taking me about 10 to 15 turns to grow. Then I swapped to a fishing town, got a buffed +1 food on all of my fishing boats, and all of my food got sent to my cities. So that is the big interaction with the towns to the cities. Is once you specialize them, they push all of their food to your actual cities, and your hammers, your production, becomes gold. Production's in town, doesn't matter. It just turns into gold. So most of my gold is actually coming from towns, not from my cities. That's Chalkis. My next town that I've got down is Argos. Same general concept. I picked one yield, again, food. But in this town, because there was all this cotton around, I decided to build farms. Also, I'm not really on the coast, so I couldn't build fishing boats. This let me just build one granary as my ageless building. It's buffing all these tiles. Also took the time to claim the silver. Still definitely worth it. If there had been other resources here, I would have claimed that as well. My third town, a little bit different. Coming down here to Miltos. This is a production-focused town. So these ones come out a little bit differently. You still have to build some farms to grow the town because it's only growing based off its own food. So, it's a little bit more split. But, and this happens later in this playthrough, Miltos will eventually grow to grab this jade, and really come to grips with the fact that it is a mining town. And then swap it to a mining town, which gives a +1 production boost to all mines, clay pits, quarries, and lumber mills, giving me even more gold to push into the rest of my empire. As this town grows later in the game, this is where a lot of my money is going to come from. So, that's the towns covered, what they specialized in, and how I kind of went about picking them. Next, we're going to talk about our cities. So, our initial city, Athenia. It's the capital. This is more like a traditional Civ 6 city. Put your initial settler down right where you spawn. You can move it if you want to. I typically don't. And it's going to grow organically because it's your only thing at the start of the game. So you come out, you claim food tiles to grow, which again is a good focus at the start. Like I grabbed this little fishing thing, I grabbed some farms. It's more mix and match for your initial city because you need everything. You don't have the opportunity to specialize. But as this city grows, and as you get more buildings on, you'll remove those rural tiles that you initially improved to put down real buildings. So as Athens grew, I started covering up more and more of my food tiles with buildings. I was able to do this because Chalkis and Argos were pushing their food to Athens. So if we go into Athens' yields, go click this button, we can actually see a breakdown of that over here. So we've got 62 food in total in Athens. I'm getting 10 from buildings, so I have a granary, and I have a bath. I'm getting 14 from tile improvements, just 14. And then I'm getting 23 from connected towns. So a third of my food income in this city is coming from other places. That's pretty typical for my capitals, at least. I'm sure other people will focus on more stuff, but with my cities that I know are going to stay cities, I typically focus more on production because I know I'm going to be building stuff here. All right. Second city is Sparta. That started as a town. It was initially a fishing village, again, because I could know where the city was going to go and I could specialize more. I focused on one type of food yield, fishing boats. That allowed me to build a fishing quay, which buffed that. I didn't have to build a granary here. I didn't have to waste that population and the money, because it was a town at the time, on putting that in. So, as this town initially grew, I came to the determination, oh, my empire needs another building to start putting out science and culture, and like building wonders or attempting to build wonders. You're never going to finish them on deity. I managed to get one, and it's the one I got a bonus to. My poor little oracle out here in the middle of nowhere. So I started building out Sparta. Made the determination because it was my second place. It was the biggest, and it was safe. Also, I had this natural wonder here, which gives a +2 happiness adjacency on quarters. So I wanted to take advantage of that. Quarters are buildings or districts with at least 2 buildings that become a quarter. So again, I started replacing some rural yields with these buildings. I replaced farms mostly because I knew I wanted to focus on the fishing boats. So we grew, we replaced some stuff, and this will keep growing forever. When you make the determination to swap from town to city is really going to have to be determined in your playthrough based off your needs. There's no hard and fast do it at this, especially for town to city swap. Now, the town's initial specialization swap, I keep it between 10 to 15 turns of growth for the next pop. That's when I usually cut that off. So, the big takeaway I want you guys to get from this video is that the city and town mechanic works very intuitively and hits an itch I didn't know was missing from the Civ series. The idea of rural towns feeding food into my massive cities is a huge success in my opinion. It definitely fits the fantasy of growing an empire. It's a historical thing. Rome didn't make a bunch of its own food. It got most of it from Egypt, and when Egypt fell, Rome fell apart, historically. So, how towns are placed and how cities evolve will definitely change as I play the game, and this is definitely just a first take. If you like this video and want to see more in-depth guides or have any advice, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I also have a small Discord that's growing, and I try to stream on Twitch every day. Links will be in the description below. So, have a good one. Good luck.